When I was 16, my parents convinced me I was the only person in the world who could save a distant cousin's life with a bone marrow donation. I did it, going through a painful procedure to be the family hero. Years later, on the eve of my wedding, I discovered the shocking truth. The cousin was actually my father's secret son from an affair. The donation wasn't an act of family love. It was a conspiracy to save his favorite child at my expense. And the revenge I served the next day was not on the menu. My name is Laura, and on the surface, my childhood was idyllic. I was the only child of a respected couple in our small town, my father a beloved family doctor, and my mother a dedicated volunteer for social causes. They were pillars of the community, the epitome of morality and decency. And I was their product, the perfect daughter. Good grades, captain of the volleyball team, volunteer at the local hospital. I did everything to maintain the family's flawless image, to receive that nod of approval from my father. The love in my house wasn't warm. It was conditional. It depended on achievements, on exemplary behavior. And I strove to earn it every single day. When I was 16, our perfect life was shaken. My parents sat me down for a serious conversation. With tears in their eyes, they told me about a distant cousin I had never met, a boy named Lucas, who was my age. He was battling an aggressive form of leukemia and desperately needed a bone marrow transplant. The entire family had been tested, they said, and no one was a match. But then we thought of you, my mother said, her voice choked with emotion. We had a sample of yours tested, one we saved from your birth. And Lolly, it's a miracle. You are a 100% match. My father placed his hand on my shoulder. You are his only hope, daughter. You can save his life. I didn't hesitate. The idea of being a hero, of doing something so profoundly good, of finally securing the kind of unquestionable pride I had always sought, was irresistible. I agreed immediately. The procedure was exactly as painful as they had warned. The injections, the extraction, the weeks of recovery with aching bones. But I endured it all with a smile. I had saved my cousin. The family celebrated me. I received gifts, praise. For the first time, I felt I had done something that not even my parents' highest expectations could diminish. Lucas, the cousin, I never met him personally. My parents said his family was very private and that after the successful transplant, they moved to another city so he could recover in peace. I received a thank you card, signed by your grateful aunt. And life went on. The story of my donation became a family legend, the proof of my inherent goodness. I used that validation to propel myself forward. I went to college, graduated from law school, and built a successful career. I was the daughter they wanted me to be. I met the man of my life, Andre, an investigative journalist who, ironically, was fascinated by my apparent lack of secrets. You're the most genuine person I know, he used to say. We got engaged, and the wedding planning began. My parents, of course, wanted a grand affair, another opportunity to showcase the perfect family. The guest list was enormous, and it was while reviewing it that the first piece of the puzzle fell into place. I was reviewing the guest list from my father's side with my aunt, his sister. We came to the name Lucas. Oh, Lucas. How nice that he's coming, my aunt said. Your father must be so happy. Yes, I'm glad he's doing well after everything, I replied. But it's strange. I've never actually met him. Which side of the family is he a cousin from, exactly? My aunt looked at me with a confused expression. What do you mean, which side? He's your brother, dear. I laughed. No, Annie. He's my cousin. I donated marrow to him. The smile vanished from her face. Laura, she said slowly, did your parents tell you that Lucas was your cousin? In that moment, I knew. The blood drained from my face. He's not. No, dear, she said, her voice full of a pity that terrified me. Lucas is your father's son. From an affair he had years ago. The boy's mother abandoned him, and your father has been supporting him in secret ever since. The leukemia, we all knew. But we thought you knew too. We thought you donated knowing he was your half-brother. The room began to spin. Brother. Secret son. Affair. The words ricocheted in my head. The entire story, the distant cousin, the miracle of the match. It was all a lie. An elaborate lie to convince me to save my father's illegitimate son. The match wasn't a miracle. It was genetics. I left my aunt's house in a state of shock. I drove aimlessly for hours, the betrayal unfolding in my mind in layers of horror. My father, the pillar of morality, had a secret son. My mother, the saintly volunteer, knew and was complicit in the lie to use me. They didn't ask me to save a relative. They used me as an organ bank to fix my father's dirtiest mistake. And the story they told the family that I knew and agreed painted me as a willing accomplice to their sham. When I finally got home, I told Andre everything. As an investigative journalist, he wasn't shocked. He was furious. They didn't just lie to you, Lolly, he said, his voice low and dangerous. They committed fraud. Medical and emotional fraud. This is monstrous. The confrontation with my parents was the next night. I summoned them to my house. I sat them down on my couch, the same couch where I had so often received lectures on honesty and integrity. I know about Lucas, I said without preamble. I know he's my brother. The panic on their faces was the only confession I needed. They tried to justify themselves. My father talked about protecting the family from scandal. My mother cried about having no choice. He was going to die, Laura, she sobbed. We had no other match. What did you want us to do? Let your brother die. My brother? I yelled, the rage finally exploding. I didn't even know I had a brother. You used me. You lied to the doctors. You lied to me. You made me undergo a painful medical procedure under false pretenses. This wasn't about saving a son. It was about hiding a secret. The argument was the worst of my life. Every excuse they gave only revealed the depth of their selfishness. They weren't sorry for the lie, only for being discovered. In the end, my father, seeing that he couldn't manipulate me, resorted to his usual tactic, authority. That's enough, Laura. What's done is done. Lucas is alive, and that's what matters. Now we have a wedding to plan. We're not going to let this past drama ruin everything. They truly believed they could just sweep it all under the rug. That I, the good daughter, the peacemaker, would eventually give in and keep the secret to protect the family's image. And maybe the old Laura would have. But the woman sitting across from them, with the truth burning in her veins, was different. No, I said, my voice calm and firm. There's no wedding to plan anymore. What? My mother said, shocked. Andre and I are getting married, yes. But you are not invited. None of you. Not Lucas either. In fact, as of tonight, you are no longer a part of my life. Their reaction was one of pure disbelief, as if I had just announced I was moving to the moon. The idea that I, the obedient daughter, could cut them off was something that had never entered their realm of possibility. And it was then that I decided that just cutting them off wasn't enough. They had built their lives on an image of perfection, an image I had helped maintain. It was time to break the mirror. And I have one more thing for you, I said, picking up my phone. Andre and I have been busy. He's a good journalist, you know? And he's found some very interesting things about Dad's past. I showed them the screen. Andre, using his skills, had unearthed everything. Not just about the affair that resulted in Lucas's birth, but about other affairs, other financial indiscretions, other secrets the perfect doctor had hidden for years. I'm getting married next Saturday, I announced. It will be a small ceremony, just for our closest friends. And the following Monday, every detail of your secret life, Dad, will be the cover story on the country's biggest news site, written by my talented husband. Unless, I paused, you give me exactly what I want. The plan Andre and I had devised wasn't about money. It was about the truth. It was about consequences. And they, for the first time in their lives, had no control over the narrative. What I wanted was simple and, for them, devastating. I demanded a public confession. On the eve of my wedding, my parents would have to organize a family meeting with all the aunts, uncles, and cousins, and, in front of everyone, they would have to tell the truth. The whole truth. About my father's affair. About Lucas's birth. About the transplant lie. About the manipulation. No excuses, no justifications. Just the facts. And Lucas had to be there to hear it. If you do this, I said, Andre's article will never be published. Your secret will die in that room. If you refuse, the whole world will know who you really are. They were cornered. The choice was between private humiliation or the public annihilation of their reputation. They chose the former. The family meeting was the most tense and surreal scene I have ever witnessed. Andre and I stood at the back of the room watching. My father, the great patriarch, looked small and broken as, with a trembling voice, he confessed to decades of lies. My mother wept silently beside him. I saw the faces of my relatives shift from shock to disgust. And Lucas, the boy I saved, the brother I never knew I had, just stared at the floor, the weight of a life built on a secret finally crashing down on him. When they finished, a heavy silence filled the room. No one knew what to say. I stood up, walked over to Lucas, and for the first time, spoke to him as a sister. "None of this is your fault," I said. "You are as much a victim as I am." He just nodded, tears streaming down his face. I got married the next day. It was a small, beautiful ceremony on the beach, surrounded only by people who truly loved us. My parents were not there. After the confession, the dynamic of our family shattered. Some relatives distanced themselves from them in disgust. Others, out of pity, tried to maintain a relationship, but the trust was irrevocably broken. They managed to keep the secret out of the public domain, but they lost the respect of everyone who mattered. And me? I found my peace. The revenge wasn't sweet. It was necessary. It didn't fix the past, but it freed me from it. By forcing them to confront the truth, I didn't destroy them. I just forced them to live, for the first time, without their masks. And I freed myself from the need to be the perfect daughter. Andre and I are building our own family, one based on honesty and trust. And recently, Lucas has been visiting us. His journey to understand who he is will be long. But in a strange way, amidst all this mess, the two of us, the two children sacrificed at the altar of our parents' perfect image, are finally starting to find each other. And that, I think, is a kind of truth worth fighting for.